Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome to episode 102 of Shrigleytube TV. Thank you very much for the kind comments last week. As always, brilliant. Enjoyed reading them all. Had a good week this week. Got plenty done. Had a nice visit from various customers. We had Jenny and Alex come up with their hill climb engine from Impish Adventures. So we had a good chat with them and pulled the engine apart. So done a bit of video in there, a bit of interviewing. And also we had James Ibbotson came up, so we had a good chat with him. My mate came in his RS Turbo, so that's the thumbnail obviously. So I got a bit overexcited about that. It was just a good week. Felt like we'd settled back in after a bit of an iffy week the week before, after our holiday. So it's absolutely toasty here in Manchester, which you never normally hear me say because it's normally raining. I'm doing the instruction from the car because the wife just sent me out to get these from the shop because it's toasty and we thought we'll get ourselves some ices in. So hope you've had a good week. I'll look forward to seeing you all next Sunday at 7. Bye for now. YouTubers, it's Monday morning. I've had a nice day today. I've been visited by Alex, or so Jenny and Alex. Now, you might recognise these two off the internet. They've got their own, is it a Facebook page you've got?
Facebook and YouTube.
And YouTube?
Yeah, Impish
So,
Adventures.
These guys are serial hill climbers. How many hill climbs did you do in 1 year when you were flat out?
In 2014 we did 21 hill climb days.
21.
Yeah.
That's a lot of and double driven.
Double driven. Yeah.
That Imp gearbox must be one brave gearbox. All them racing starts. Now the point I couldn't wait to get to was Alex. Is it true that Jenny is like on average 2 seconds a hill faster than you?
Yes.
Not every hill.
Not every hill.
No, Jenny has a smoother driving style, so she starts slower,
Right.
builds and builds and builds, and I'm much more traditional and agricultural, and I just on and off,
Right.
accelerate, brake, and that braking slows me down. Whereas Jenny just builds and builds. So my fastest time of the day is day 2, Sunday morning, about sort of second run.
Yeah.
Whereas and I won't get any faster than that.
Before you get too tired.
It just goes, but Jenny carries on getting faster.
Carry on getting faster. Well, Jenny, I didn't want to cause you trouble between you both, but while you were looking after the dog before, Alex asked me if we could fit like a button that gave him an extra sort of 10 or 15 horsepower, just so he was feeling the pressure.
One that I don't know about.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
He did nobble me once by accidentally leaving the fuel pump switched off, and I didn't realise.
Bit harsh.
Bet you paid for that. Well,
we have different hills. Like Alex is always faster than me at Wiscombe, but I'm usually faster at Doon and Warrington. We got a day each this
Doon's
week,
a brave hill, isn't it, in Scotland?
Doon's brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, you like that one?
Yeah, I love Doon.
Yeah. Let's have a quick look at the car. You've just been hill climbing this weekend, haven't you? Where did you go to? Somewhere up
We went
towards
to Forestburn, which
Forestburn?
is Monkland's sporting car club, which is near Falkirk for us Southerners.
Right. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's a fantastic hill, really good club. I mean, the
Technical
thing
hill.
that makes these events is the clubs that run them.
Of course it is, and the people,
Yeah.
because you can't just go there for the. It's got to be the social, hasn't it? The
That's right,
barbecue and the
yeah,
beers.
And we've been going up there for long enough for them to realise that we're
serious.
Yeah, serious.
Because
mad.
hang on,
That's what you
where
were
do you
saying.
come from? Is it South Coast?
Yeah, we live in the New Forest,
So you drove to Scotland.
450 miles.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
4 times this year we're going up there.
Yeah,
Well, we've been up
yeah.
3 times already.
Well
and
done.
then one more in September to Doon. So, yeah.
That is brilliant. Well, I'll have a quick roll on the car, and then we'll go in and then we'll talk about the engine. But it's pretty standard, the car, isn't it?
Apart from the few extras that are in it at the moment, but we don't normally take those hill climbing with us.
Yeah, the jack comes out for the hills.
Yeah, it does.
So is it in a production car class, is it?
Yes, yeah. In Scotland it's slightly different. They categorise them sort of a little bit more broadly, but in England we run in standard road car class, which allows us quite a lot of scope with things like carburation and capacity, but things like your fundamental suspension needs to be the same type of suspension, gearbox, engine has to be in the same place, but capacity and carburation are free.
Yeah.
Be the same.
Block needs to be the same.
I find it interesting that you've got drum brakes on it.
Yeah, we've always run standard drum brakes.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's the white knuckle ride. But, my theory when we started was if you're going uphill, you shouldn't be needing to brake too much.
Plus, the imp brakes, the problem is getting hot, but I mean, they actually work quite well, don't
Yeah,
they?
we're only running it for a minute.
Yeah.
So they've always been, keep them in good condition. They're fine.
And I was really pleased to see you got a gearbox, a proper gearbox with a proper set of ratios in it. So it's like 80 mile an hour flat out.
Yeah.
And it's a 4-speed dog box. With LSD, is it?
Yeah, it's an LSD.
Yeah.
It's quite scary at top speed. We've done Goodwood and Castle Combe, and on the Lavant Straight at Goodwood, you don't really want to be doing 90 mile an hour in it.
No.
It's all over. It's not a very smooth track.
No. It's doing a few RPM at that point. How do you find the dog box then? Did you get on with it okay?
Yeah, I didn't want one to start with because I hate the way they sound, but having listened to all these minis and stuff, but but I can't do clutchless gear changes.
No, I've never been able to master that either.
Messes with my head.
Yeah, no, it's
Stick to normal.
you can't change gear with these nicely. You've just got to give them a gulp full of RPM and hope for the best.
And sometimes when we were at Warrington in whenever it was May, I had a couple of just wouldn't go into third. So after that was just like
You've got to show it where to go.
Yeah.
Fair play. Right, let's have a look at the engine anyway. We're at the business end now. We've got the engine in a million pieces on my scruffy bench. I am sorry about the state of the workshop, guys. I'm about to move, so I've not cleaned it properly for a while. Before I forget, if people want to check out you on the hill, it's Impish Adventures.
Yeah, Impish Adventures.
On
It's on Facebook
and on YouTube.
And on YouTube, and I think we're on Instagram as well, aren't we now?
Yeah, not so much. I don't put so much on Instagram.
Right, but we can see you on Facebook and in-car footage as well.
Yeah, in-car footage. We try and get that on as soon as we can after each hill, but in April and May time, they're every week, so it catches up with us.
Yeah, can't you get no time?
All the ones we've done up, apart from this last weekend, are on there though this year. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Right, we'll just have a quick overview of the engine. Basically, it was pretty fit. There wasn't an awful lot wrong with it, was there?
Yeah,
really?
we just wanted a refresh, and we got a little bit of condensation going on.
Yeah, we found a bit of an issue. We decided that it was a little bit on the close side. You can sort of see the shadow where the piston has been kissing the head at top dead centre. So you can see the tide mark there where it's slightly offset. But yeah, I think we can deal with all this, no problem at all. We'll just put new pistons in it and machine them so they just sit low of the block at top dead centre, and then they'll never get near the head again. So that should solve all of your other issues. And then we've had a look at cams and stuff. You've got the crank's absolutely mint in it. Crank's lovely, so that'll go again. I will put all this in a box and look after it. I bet you're thinking, crikey, you took my engine to pieces. It's just all over the floor.
Well, there's a few other things here that might quite nice in the same box.
Yeah. So the block's there. Block's all looking good. And there's a pair of twin 40s on... I said it was a Janspeed manifold, but I was completely wrong. It was a Maniflow.
Yeah, it's rebuilt by Maniflow. It may well have been a Janspeed once upon a time, but rebuilt by Dave Dorrington at Maniflow very long time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I think we've got the basis there, and we've looked at a few different options, so you can have a little ponder on it and decide what route you want to go. But yeah, I think we can make this hopefully go a little bit better. I can see a few areas hopefully we can improve on.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at doing. It's just getting some improvements, because it's not been apart for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm talking 6 or 7 years of racing. So, it's due a birthday.
Yeah, and we'll fix that oil leak for you at the back as well. Put an oil seal kit on it for you.
Yeah,
hopefully.
when it's raining, 2 drops of oil goes a long way.
I know, yeah. It's like, who's dripping oil?
It's always the old car.
Always like, it'd be the Imp.
Oh no, we don't want that reputation, do we?
Even when it isn't, they think it's us.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you very much for being on Shrigleytube. If you do want to see yourself, just head to YouTube at 7 o'clock on Sunday night and you can...
We will.
Brilliant. Thanks again. Cheers. Tubers, you may remember last week we had Alan's engine. We're putting some new liners in it. So I'm just over here on the lathe. That's the video you just seen. I'm just roughing these out. So it puts quite a lot of heat into the liner, taking all that material. I'll do it quite fast. And then what we'll do is we'll do all 4 liners. I've left 20 thou on that, so that when we finish roughing them all out, they'll all cool down, get them all to the same temperature. I'll put them back on the dolly, and then we'll do the final turn, and that will give us the best chance of having a nice round on size liner and them all being the same size. So just to show you how I've done this, this is a tailstock, and if you undo this, it takes the pressure off there, so that just goes backwards and forwards on the thread. So that's just a straightforward dolly that's sat on the end. Let's move this out of the way. It's a little bit on the hot side, this, but geez, it has got a bit of heat in that. So what happens is we hold the liner in the lathe. Now I've been through all this before, but just in case you're a newcomer, on a dummy, like we'll call it, just, I don't know, what should we call it, like a little peg. And the idea being that I put this peg in the 3-jaw chuck so it's not true, and I turn it and you can just see the fresh material. There's only about 2mm of land or 3mm of land that's actually true. The rest of this is undersize. So the liner goes on, and when I put a load on by turning this handle here, pushing this way, it pushes the liner hard against that shoulder. And because that's just been machined with it in the chuck, it's perfectly true. So it means the liner stays perfectly true. And then when we put the liner back in later to top turn it after it's cooled down, it'll all still be perfectly true because it's been machined in situ. That's the theory anyway. So I'm going to get these other 3 liners turned, and then we'll let them cool down. We'll do the finished turn, and then we can get them in the block ready to be bored and final honed. Good morning, YouTubers. It's Tuesday morning. I didn't do any videoing this morning. I've been dying of hay fever, sneezing. The sun's out, it's killing me. Anyway, just had to get on with the job. So the liners that we turned last night, I finished turning them this morning when they cooled down, and I put the flats on them, pressed them into the block. So they're all clamped up now with the glue, waiting to go hard. So that's great. We can get that bored and decked hopefully tomorrow. So the next job, I've run out of crankshafts. Now these are the brand new crankshafts out of 930s. They're lovely bits of kit. However, they're Talbot Sunbeam cranks. So they have this 5 stud setup on the back, and I convert them so they run the 4 studs like an imp. So we can put an imp flywheel, and this length here is basically 1/2 inch too long. So we machine it back 1/2 inch. So that it's all the same offset as an imp as well. So that just so basically when I put this in a 930 block, it looks like it thinks it's an imp crank. So everything works exactly as it used to do with your original flywheel and clutch, and all your offsets for your clutch, everything's the same. However, first thing I have to do is we remove the dowel. So we have to pull the dowel out, which is quite a tricky operation, but I've got the hang of it now. So get the dowel out of there, because that dowel position is no longer the dowel position for the 4 stud flywheel. And then what we do is, these are 3/8 UNF, so I bought myself a ruck of 3/8 UNF bolts. I just in brake cleaner there, getting the grease off them. So these are degreased. We use a Loctite high strength retainer, and these are blind holes, so they don't go all the way through. They go to about here. So we tighten these up in here, and then the next operation is to grind the excess material off, so that we've then got a nice, when we come to machine it all, it just makes a solid face so we can re-drill and tap it. But we'll go through that together in a minute. I'll just put these bolts in, and then I'll join you in the other room. Right, okay, I've got my 5 cranks lined up here. All of the bolts are now Loctited in position. Obviously the quickest way of getting rid of these is just use a slitting disc on a grinder and grind each one off, which is what I'm going to do next. Then we'll get them in the lathe. And I know you probably think I'm cracking up there, because there is actually 6 crankshafts. There's 5 of these that are Talbot Sunbeam ones. This is a Talbot Sunbeam, but it's actually a long stroker. Can you see it's been meddled with? This belongs to my mate Tim in Ireland, so we're going to get this done for him for his little imp, his little red imp, ready for National Weekend. So I'm going to chop the end of these off next, then we'll get him in the lathe, and we'll see where we end up. Okay, YouTubers, progress. We're getting there so slowly, but we are getting there. So I've got the grinder, and normally I'd just chop the excess thread and the head of the bolt off. So we've left these stubs in, 3/8 UNF stubs, because we're going to put 4 bolts in the end. But I thought to myself, I normally machine this down with the lathe, and I thought, you know what? Why don't you just grind it while you're here? It took another 30 seconds in 1 minute or something. So I've ground them off. That's the original needle roller bearing that would have run on the Talbot Sunbeam gearbox, but it's a different size to the Imp. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put them all in the lathe one at a time. In the 3-jaw that end, a 3-point steady this end. We're going to face them, and then we're going to replicate the end of an imp crank on the end, and then we'll drill and tap it for the 4 bolts, and we'll also drill it deeper, and that makes room because it's very shallow at the moment. The imp spigot bush would just input shaft on the imp transaxle would bottom out in there, so it's very important we make that deeper. And also we'll bore it so that it can take one of our new seal type bearings, spigot bush bearings, or it's not actually a bush, it's a bearing now. It's a proper long-lasting bearing like a modern car, but we'll come to that shortly, explain as we go. Right, okay, YouTubers, we're on the lathe now with the crankshaft. Apologies to Kit from down under. When he sees the state of my lathe, he's going to be like, oh, you need help, Andy. Anyway, it's functional, which is the most important thing. So we're using something called a 3-point steady, and I apologise to anybody that's a proper engineer and is watching this thinking, not quite got that right, Andy, but what happens is we need the crankshaft to turn so we can machine this end, but we can't fit it through the chuck because it's enormous. So what we do is we drive it from that end, and then this little device clamps onto the bed, and it's got 3 points of contact. The little bronze bushes, one here, and one here. And that's why it's called a 3-point steady. So they're supporting the end of the crankshaft so we can machine it. Now, this is so you can get easy access. Put that down, that goes on, tighten that nut, and then it supports it in them 3 bearings, and we just keep a feel on the amount of pinch on the bearings by turning that screw so we can make sure it doesn't get too tight, because as it warms up when we're machining it and it grows, we have to back it off a little bit so it doesn't bind up and damage the end of the crankshaft. So I'll get on with this now, we'll face it, and then we'll start machining back to create our little index for the flywheel to run on. Right, okay, finally starting to make a bit of progress now. So what I've done, to give you an idea, I've locked the bed up with this nut here, so this now doesn't move. So the only way I can adjust this, where the tip cuts, is through this handle here and this one here. This one does this way, that one does that way. That way I'm able to create accurate stops so I can repeat the process for the rest of the crankshafts. So what I've done so far is I've drilled it for clearance so that the input shaft doesn't bottom out. The next step, after this will come out of here now, go on the shelf while we do the other 5 crankshafts, and when we come back for the next operation, I will put the boring bar in and bore them to take the bearing for the spigot bush, for the input shaft. So that'll be the next operation. But this operation that I've just done is I've basically drilled it one size and drilled it a bigger size just to get the meat out of it. Makes it easier with the boring bar. And then I've used the tool to reduce that thickness. You remember before, this was out here where we just ground off all the studs. You can barely see where the bolt holes were. Obviously that's where the dowel used to be, but that's now redundant, so we just leave it empty. So I've faced it and I've top turned it, and this is now 1 inch and 5/8, which is the same size spigot as the imp crankshaft. So if we look at an imp crank here, that's what we're trying to replicate, that 1 inch and 5/8 spigot. Obviously we've come back, machine material back, and recreated it. So yeah, we're getting there, slow progress. What I'll do is I'll try and hold the camera on the next one. Now I've got all my settings, and just show you how the tip removes the material and how the drill works, etc. Right, first operation, got a blank one in the lathe, is we're going to do this smaller drill, and this is like a pilot drill for the big drill. So I paint marked it where it needs to go to, a bit rough, but it's only for clearance. So we'll go in with that. I'll do the drilling first, because a bonus of what the drilling does is it pushes the crank hard against the chuck so that all the offsets remain the same. Because remember, I'm going in with this handle here to a depth to create my thickness for the boss. So we'll fire it up. put the big daddy drill in now, which is the next stage, and we're only going to go as deep as the depth of the bearing, because we don't want to weaken the end of the crankshaft. I want to replicate exactly the same inside here as the imp. So this drill is roughly about 1mm bigger than the spigot input shaft diameter. So there's clearance there, but we're not removing any excess strength. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow the lathe down to 180, because it's a little bit clunky. You'll see in a minute. Bit further. Okay, so we can see inside the hole now. We've got the clearance for the end of the input shaft, which is here, and then this is roughed out, ready for the bearing to go in. So if we put that in there now, we can see that's plenty of depth clearance. No chance of that ever bottoming out on the end of the crankshaft there. You see that quite a lot when you got people putting like a Ford gearbox on the end of a Vauxhall engine. They wouldn't measure the depth properly, and it always used to burn the thrust washers and scrap the engine. Anyway, what we're going to do next is we're going to start facing it. Got to be a bit gentle at first. What we do is we set this to 0, that's my datum, and then that should clean up across the whole face then, and then we'll start turning it and creating that index for the flywheel system. Right, I can hear it's touching most of the ends of the threads now, so our 0 point is coming up. We're at 24. And we'll send him across on the feed, so if you put him in gear, he goes automatically on his own. Okay, we've finished going across the face, and you can see it's virtually cleaned up apart from this around the edges where my grinder's just caught, but we're going to remove all that material next, so that doesn't actually matter. So we'll start going across. We'll find our point which we go into, which I've completely forgotten. Was it 11? Oh gosh. Oh no, we're going to 0, sorry. So I'm going to wind this in on this cross slide until we get to 0. Or we'll probably go like 0.5 mil plus to start with, and then we'll start doing this and bringing all the material out, and I'll do some random videos as I go along. Okay, you can see I took a fair bit off already. Quite interesting. I'll do a pass now. I'm only putting like 10th hour on at a time. I'm trying not to wreck the tips because I'm getting through quite a few of them. These cranks are made out of good stuff. I think they're EN16 as standard, so they're quite a nice forging. Now what I'll do is I'll turn it on and we'll just do a quick pass, and you'll hear it change tone as it goes over the stud heads, the remainder of the stud blanks that I put in. well, the second one was relatively painless, so managed to create that step. So looking good. Put the G-clamp on it and just have a quick measure. See if the tool has lost any size, because obviously these tips do wear. So what's that going to be? Oh, stupid phone. There you go. And a couple of attempts under 18625. That's perfect. That'd be just right. That wonderful. Right, I'll get the next one on. I can hear a fracas outside. Looks like it's Bergerac. Let's go and upset him.
Afternoon.
Looking very happy yourself.
That's lovely.
There's a big hole in the ozone layer above my unit.
It's just had a sooted up plug.
That's...
Clear its throat.
Oh, look, who's that?
He's normally asleep in the office, isn't he?
Yeah, where's Dean? He's normally taller than that, isn't he? Because he's normally riding on the back of his son's shoulders, isn't he?
Terrible.
Mate, what's this lovely piece? Have you just bought it?
Yeah, I sold it 3 or 4 years ago.
Really? They kept your number?
Oh,
yeah.
Don't be so rude.
Well, the market's gone down. I can only offer you a small percentage. I can just imagine.
It's a Californian shell that was brought back over here about 20 years ago and rebuilt properly. And I mean, you know, look. Oh,
yeah,
it's beautiful, isn't it?
It's all right, that, isn't it?
Iversail Recon engine.
Sweet as a nut.
Look at those inner wings. Beautiful. Beautiful. All the panel work. Excellent. Apart from the paint run, obviously.
Are they on it that?
No, too late for that.
Oh, very nice.
But yeah, it's a very straight car. So.
I've noticed that your noddy car's not moved for a while.
I know. I need to. I haven't had any events recently. So,
I've just had a message off one of the subscribers, and he said he thinks it might be a good idea for you to go for a drive in the Husky and me interview you while you drive it.
Oh, is that right? Right, okay.
So you can see how good they are.
All right, okay. Well,
are you on for it?
I'm up for that. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Do I have to buy the petrol? That's usually the case with you, isn't it? Let's be honest. But if you're trying to convert me, then you know, might be worth it. Might be worth your while.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's all right. That R-Reg 77. Yeah. That's when I was born, that, mate.
There you go. Well, it's a car for you then.
No, mate, you won't get me in one of them. Sorry. My dad loves them. Absolutely loves them. Did you know for my 21st birthday present, my dad paid for me to do a season in his championship winning Cockshute Cup MGB.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, the first race I went to, I over-revved it. It jumped out of gear and it snapped the crankshaft.
Oh.
It was a 3 bearing.
Oh yeah. It's no good, is it?
No, he wasn't very happy.
Aside from that, how did you get on?
It sort of highlighted my lack of driving ability from an early age. And I had no excuses because the reason he took a year out was he'd actually won the championship the year before.
So you couldn't blame the tools, no?
I couldn't blame the tools, no. They put a 5 bearing engine. He used to use a bloke called Mike Entwistle to do the engines. And they put a 5 bearing engine in after that, and it wasn't as free revving.
No.
The 3 bearing was definitely a bit fruitier.
Yeah, they are, but the 5 bearings are a bit stronger, aren't they?
They don't cope with being over rev very well. No, the 5 bearing's bulletproof, isn't it? Yeah.
That's why I like them. They're just good all rounders, aren't they? They're just nice cruisers.
They're pretty.
They're pretty, yeah, but with the overdrive and everything, they're long enough gear to sit on the motorway. You can go places in them rather than something screaming its head off at
oh yeah, when I finish my new gearbox for it, it'll be fine. Listen, I went to Cadwell Park to watch the mod sports.
How did you get on?
I loved it. Can you turn that off because you're going to interrupt with my background though. And there was an MG BGT there, a white one, number 32.
Yeah.
I don't know, it says it was 3,500 like it was a V8,
like
but didn't sound like one. Sounded awesome, and it went like a scolded cat. Yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah.
What else was there? Anything good?
Hillmans, Gaddafians, clans, loads of good stuff. Yeah. It just needs what's the word for it? It needs a bit of momentum, the championship. If cars are out there, just need to get the people G'd up. And I mean, I can't say anything because I've got cars and don't do anything, but yeah.
You've got too many cars, that's your issue.
I know. I love them all. I love every single one of them, even that green Escort
that's
there.
the problem, isn't it?
You can't spread the love that wide.
That
Sometimes
is,
you've just got to focus.
even if you're absolutely full to the brim with love, it just gets spread too thinly. I need to sell some. I will downsize a bit when we move, but anyway, I'm waffling rubbish.
Enjoy.
Lovely that, mate. You'll sell that in no time. Okay, YouTubers, it's Wednesday morning. After a day of torture, stood next to the lathe yesterday. We've got some good work to do today. I got this very pleasing engine in front of me, and I've got its owner stood next to me, Mr. Ibbotson. How you doing?
I'm alright, how are you?
Yeah, wonderful. Now, last time James was in the workshop, you might remember, you'd done like a 23-hour shift, hadn't you, James? You got up and on early, and you came here for 7, did you?
Yeah.
From Milton Keynes.
Set off at 4, and yeah, we worked through the day, didn't we?
I gave him a tube of glue and a spanner, and then he produced that. And then we dynoed it at, was it 10:30 at night, something like that?
It's about 10:30, yeah. I think we put it in the boot at about 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it's still too hot to handle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then you went to Donington with it and did your first race that weekend. So, yeah, I just said to James, if you can get any time off work, I just think we might benefit from getting the engine back and having it on the dyno and have a little play with it. Just check the advance and the fuel in and just play with a few bits and pieces. Because really we didn't give it any time, and we'd done all that development work with the new camshaft. He's got the big followers and the wild cam in this, so it was all a bit set. We just called it safe, didn't we? So what we do today is put it on the edge so that next time you go out of it just nukes itself. No,
we don't want to do that.
Yeah, so there you go. Anyway,
It'd be really, really fast for 1 lap.
Yeah, well, 1 lap and then that's it, kaboom. Yeah, back to the drawing board.
Let's not joke about it.
I rang Bob and said, oh yeah, I've got James coming on Wednesday. He's bringing his engine. He went, don't touch it. That's what he said to me. I was like, what do you mean? He went, don't touch it. It's working. Leave it well alone.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Can I not even take a spark plug out of it? I just want to see how it's running. Anyway, yeah, he's cool. He just knows what I'm like for meddling. Anyway, right. I'll leave this at that and that at this, and I just wanted to compliment you, mate. This is the most pleasing sight in the world for me. Obviously, everyone knows I bang on about temperature all the time. It's been to 71 degrees, and you've done how many races? 4, 5 races? Or maybe 6. You did 3.
It's quite a few because we did 3 at Pembrey alone.
Yeah.
And what was that, 3rd meeting? Yeah.
And some of them being at hot meetings as well. So
yeah.
Well done, mate. I love it when people keep the Hillmans cool, because, like I always explain to people, the reason they taste so good is they're made out of milk chocolate.
I'd like it cooler than that, but
yeah.
But the thing is, when you're running a big oil cooler like that, the water does take a lot of heat out. So
yeah. It's already got a bit warmer by the time it gets there, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But you know, at the end of the day, the oil temperature being under control with these aluminium engines is absolutely critical as well. So. Oh, where are we on there? We're a bit warmer on there, aren't we? What are we? 93, that's fine. Yeah, anything under 100 on the oil is fine, which is crazy because if you speak to any of the oil manufacturers, the pack they put in the oil, you know, the polymers and all that palaver, the clever stuff that makes the oil work, doesn't actually start to 100 degrees.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
When I was at Bob's, I never believed it until I saw it, but we was on the dyno with some posh new oil he got, and the oil pack, the guy said, it'll work from 100 degrees. And we did a run with the oil at like 70, and then we turned all the water off on the engine so that the engine got to like 95 degrees. And we kept revving it, got the oil up to 110 degrees, and then put all the water pumps back on again, got the engine back down to 60, did a dyno run. Mate, there was 5 horsepower.
Wow.
Just from the oil being the right temperature.
Wow.
So it's, you know, if we could just work out how to do that. Maybe if we can get the engine to run at 50 degrees water,
I can do that.
then maybe we can take the cooler off and just allow the surface area of the block to control the oil temperature.
It's interesting because I did a track day at Donington at the end of last year for my birthday, and I was running a motorbike oil cooler.
Oh, yeah.
Kawasaki, and the water was 50, 55, and the oil was 105.
And where did you pipe that to and from?
On my other engine, it was out of the
Oh yeah, out of the back of the block.
there,
Yeah.
and then I think I fed it back in at the back.
Yeah,
of the head.
that I've done quite a few of those, but for the circuit racing, you know, where they're just being compounded to 20 minutes, I call it temperature creep, you know, where you look at the gauge and it's just gone up a couple of degrees each lap, and then you feel the edge of the engine start to go off as the temperature sets in. So yeah, we'll you keep working on the front end, mate. Get the cooling even cooler, and then we'll look then at running the oil hotter. If the block growth is under control, I'd be happy to go hotter on the oil, to be honest, because like the manufacturers keep telling me, you don't start working to 100 degrees, so you know we're well in there, aren't we?
Yeah.
But anyway, wonderful. Right, I'll let you put this on the dyno, and then we'll join you again and see how we can get a few more GGs out of it. While James is busy putting it on the dyno, I'm in here with my crankshafts, and just final operation is to bore the end of the hole where the needle, or not needle roller, it's actually a fixed roller bearing, goes in the end to support the input shaft. So do that together, do a cut together, should we say, using the auto feed. Lovely job. Right, okay, I've actually completed the first crankshaft. So I'm not moaning. It's not that I dislike machining, it's just that I struggle doing anything more than once. So quite interestingly, this crankshaft belongs to my mate in Ireland, and it's an offset ground crank. So what they used to do was used to spray metal them, or build them up with metal, and then machine them back to give it extra offset. You can see how the hole isn't central in the crank pin, because the crank pin is further this way than before to give it the extra stroke. It's only got about an extra 10 mil of stroke, but yeah, quite a neat job, I suppose. Anyway, I'd never raced with one of these. They're just purely for a bit of fun, road use and a bit of hill climb and stuff. Saw them a lot in trials cars. Anyway, I've done the end now. We've got to drill and tap it. So I've just given it a quick deburr, and the moment of truth, we're going to put the input shaft bearing on here. Now, I used to make these a tap fit in the end of the crankshaft, so no virtually size on size, maybe a thou smaller the hole. But the problem was the it used to close up as you tapped it in. The bearing housing closed up, and then the bearing would go tight. So we make them just a push fit now. So we'll just put a bit of Loctite on there. That'll be good as gold, that. Be a good job, that. Belting. Right, wonderful. I'll get the next one. What on earth is going on here? Oh my word. Hello, Bernie.
Good morning, Andy.
How you doing?
I'm alright, thank you. Just stealing his engine.
Just stealing engine. Good for you, lad. It's only been like 10 minutes. Hello, Jasmine. Pardon?
You're not going to miss it.
No, I've got plenty more.
Yeah, that's good.
So this is going to go in the red van, yeah?
It certainly is.
Good lad. Can't wait. Can't wait. You can take me to the club, and I'll drink 3 pints of beer. It'd be great, that. Well done. We've only been right 10. Is it ready to come out?
Well, that's.
You've only been right about 10 minutes. Wow. No messing. Right, I'll put the phone down and give you a lift getting it out. YouTubers, just a quick update. I'm just on the pillar drill now. We've lowered him right down, and I use the flywheel as a template and do a size on size drill just to get a spot face. You can actually see there where the hole is encroached on the where I put the stubs in, but they're only for about 10 mil, and then we're into solid metal, and they're a straight through hole now. So I put the dowel in first so it's all located properly, and next we're going to use the pillar drill to just start the thread, and then we'll stop, wind it out manually, and then I'll tap them in the vise. Chaps, that's the first crankshaft completed. I'm going to get this one in the post for William. Look at that lineup. I'm well impressed with myself. All the bolts start lovely, and it tightened up a treat. So we'll get that one in the post now, and then we can get on with Julian's engine, because we've got his crank to drill and tap next. You've done exceptionally well today, mate. If I could afford your wages, I'd have
afford me, I'm afraid.
Pardon?
You couldn't afford me.
You're not probably wrong there, yeah.
That's the Fosters a day, you know.
So how long before is this going to go national weekend or what, Bernie?
Not this year.
Not this year, right? Are you going to make an effort to come down in the camper?
We may come down in a camper.
Brilliant, mate. We'll have a few beers.
Yeah.
But this is actually the very first 930 that I converted last year. And I know that because I made a right embryos trying to decide which hole to put the dowel in, but I kept on running into other holes. So it's a bit Iggy Pop, but obviously you can see it's worked a treat, and the beauty of an oil seal engine is it doesn't leak oil. So that's good. I wish we could say the same for the gearbox, which has got a leak there on the input shaft seal, but no, that's brilliant. I'll drop that off at your gaff later.
Thank
And
you,
then
Andy.
yeah, I'll look forward to seeing the progress, mate. I'll talk about that later. Right, brilliant. Well done, Bernie. Anyway, YouTubers, while Bernie's been busy stripping the Husky outside and taking the engine out, James has been running through a few checks. How's it going, James?
Yeah, all right.
You all right?
Ready to put some oil in it and fire it up.
Excellent. He's a very quiet worker. He just gets on with it. Doesn't antagonise anybody. He just gets on with the job, which is great. So we just checked the cam timing, made a few alterations, see if we can just squeeze a few more GGs out of it. So had a general check over the engine. It seems to be bearing up in really good condition. I did ask him to take the cam cover off because I was keen to see how the new camshaft was going to work, or look, should I say, with the big follower and the carrier that Mr. Stuart Brownsea made. And I have to say, I'm really happy with it all. It all looks like the day we fitted it, so hopefully it will continue to do its job. Right, I'll let you get the cam cover on, James, and we'll get it wound up and see if we can squeeze some numbers out of it. YouTubers, I'm really sorry we haven't done any video footage of the engine being dynoed. Now, this may seem like I'm trying to spin you on, and it's like absolutely mega, and we don't want to share the figures because it's so good, but it's actually quite the opposite. In fact, it's a good air pressure day, but it's humid. It's like 25 degrees in the cell, and I've been wringing its neck all afternoon. I think James is a bit concerned I'm going to wear it out. And yeah, we're basically back at the key settings that we set it at 10:30 at night when we had half an hour of dyno and it was fresh.
Yeah.
Now, I was hoping to see some big torque figures out of this, but basically certain things. The head obviously was donated to James very kindly by Mr. Pete Collington, and the head's good, but it's been done in a certain way that means we've struggled to get compression ratio with it. So because it's got low compression, we can't make the engine do the torque that we want it to do. It still hangs on, don't be wrong, and it gets on fine with it in the car and has done really well. But if we had more time, we could just say, right, let's get another head and probably make it a lot better for you. But I have to remember, it's good, it's safe, and it's in mint condition. We've just done a compression test, and we're getting about 160 per pot. And the point of this waffle, where I thought I'd do it face to face with you guys, is what I was going to try and explain to James is, if you think about how the engine works, right, the burn speed, which is the rate of the burn, which obviously pushes the piston down, is constant, and it's dictated mainly, apart from by temperature and stuff, if you can keep all that under control, by the compression ratio. Because we've got a low compression ratio, it doesn't hang on the way I'd want it to. It's all right because it's got really good cam area and it's got a really good head on it, flow wise, and his carburation and his nice manifold and all the bits and bobs. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to trim the ignition advance so it does it later, to try and help it hang on, because as we said, the burn speed is constant, but as the engine goes faster and faster, we have to spark it earlier and earlier to try and get it to get the most energy out of the bang to push the piston down the bore. So the fact we've got it now, so it's doing its advance a little bit later than it was before. It was all happening at about 5,000 before. I'm hoping with the lighter bob weights we put inside the Dizzy, it's going to do it about 1,000 revs further up the RPM range. But I'll be honest, we didn't see any night and day changes. The major change we made detuned the engine massively, because what I did was I retarded the cam, because James said it's great, it's got loads of torque, it's dead easy to drive, and I thought, right, we'll retard the cam timing, and what that'll do is it'll shift the RPM, the power up the RPM range, and hopefully we'll get some more horsepower out of it. But because it's got no burn speed, we can't make use of that extra power that I thought it was going to give it. In fact, all it did was completely obliterate it, because we retarded the cam timing. If you think of the way the inlet lobe, if we retard it, it opens the valve later, but it shuts it earlier. So what happens is the static and the dynamic compression ratio, I'm going to tie myself in a total knot here. When the piston is at bottom dead centre, the valve shuts later because we retarded the cam. And what that did was it reduced the dynamic compression ratio and meant that it had even less torque everywhere. So we ended up taking it all apart again, or James did. It's been a busy afternoon. And took it all apart again, and then basically put the cam timing back to where it was, so it's advanced again. And what that meant was that the inlet valve shut earlier, so we could then make use of the sweep and actually get a higher dynamic compression ratio, which then brought some of the torque back. And then we've been running it that long that we've managed to, we've got a 1,000 litre tank of water in the roof here, which it controls the dyno. Obviously it comes down via that pipe and then obviously operates the dyno. Then it goes into heat exchange units, which cool the engine. But because the dyno's put so much heat energy into the water, we're now at a situation where we can't run it at less than 80 degrees water temp. So it's got no power anyway, because an imp needs to be down at 60, 65 to make it do power. So yeah, it was just not happened. And I feel really bad for James, because he's took the engine out, come up here for a day, and we've tried to make it better for him. But honestly, when it's cool in the car with all the little tweaks we've done, I think it should have a little bit more of an edge. Not much, but
Yeah.
if he was in a position like, or we had a position of loads of time, we'd just do another rev for it. But that isn't an option, so we're going to make the most of what we've got. Hopefully it'll just, the most important thing is that it continues to be
That's
reliable.
The thing. Yeah, it was more, today was more a case of making sure that everything was good, because like I say, we did put it together quickly, so it was more making sure that we didn't miss anything, and making sure that, like you say, it's going to carry on doing what it's doing. If it carries on doing what it's doing, I'm perfectly happy with that, you know, and we know it's safe. So we've caused, like, we went to Pembroke and we caused a lot of trouble there, I think. You know.
Yeah, I always want it to be the very best it can be, and I know from looking at the you know, we've just done a cranking pressure there with the cylinder. You know, I said to James, if it was in the 250 area, then we're going to have a good volatile bang, and we're looking at 160 a pot, so we're well off peak. You know, we could probably put a load more advance into it. I just don't want to, because it's already running more advanced than I'd like. We sort of compensate for the slow burn by starting it off earlier, if that makes sense, by putting ignition advance into the engine. So, mate, go away, carry on enjoying your season. I'm going to try and come to Brands to watch you, and yeah, we'll get some time in a new unit with the new dyno. We'll get it on Bob's dyno, where we can control all the temperatures properly, and we'll get you another head on it with some compression, and then you can make a right nuisance of yourself, chase them minis down. Right, brilliant. Sorry about the lack of dyno footage, but as you can see, we've just spent hours, really, haven't we, just trying to work out what's going on. Right, brill.
Okay, YouTubers, I just watched that little explanation I gave and managed to confuse myself, so I thought I'd do a little sketch just to try and explain what I'd done with the cam timing and why it had such an adverse effect on the engine's power. So this is how it came to me, with the cam in quite an advanced position, as in it ran a 3mm, which is 120 thou of lift at top dead centre. So at TDC, the valve, the cam was going around a clockwise direction. This is the cam follower, this is the valve. You can see it's open 3mm, and that meant that it opened, the piston came down, the air went into the engine with the fuel. When it gets to the bottom, the valve is still left open because of the amount of speed involved and stuff. So hoping to get a last bit of charge in, leave the valve open, and the piston is actually still starting to rise now. So it's at bottom dead centre, and the valve is still off the seat by 2mm. So in theory, the gases can go back out that way, but there's also the theory of charge. We won't get into all that anyway. So we had 2mm of lift at bottom dead center. So I retarded the cam timing, so I moved it that way. So I took lift off, which basically meant it had 2mm of lift, just for argument's sake. That wasn't the figure, but so it was opening 2mm at top dead center. But what happened then, of course, is it made, for argument's sake, it was open more at bottom dead center, so it was open 3mm at bottom dead center, because we're looking at a different side of the cam follower. Obviously on the opening side it's on that side, on the closing side it's on this side, so the valve effectively was open more at bottom dead center, which meant the piston travelled further up the bore before it came off lift and closed, and that's what reduces the dynamic compression ratio. So the compression ratio that we measure is from BDC to TDC, that volume into there divided by itself gives you, let's say on James's engine, 11:1. The dynamic compression ratio is from when the inlet valve after bottom dead center actually closes. So by retarding the cam timing, I made it so the piston came further up the bore before that valve shut, which effectively reduced the amount of squishing time for the gases, which reduced the dynamic compression ratio, which made it useless. Now, obviously that's just a really rough way of just explaining it, but I just thought I'd put that on the end to try and unravel the confusion that I'd just said in the video.
Good morning, YouTubers. It's Thursday morning. It's like a bomb site when I came in here this morning after we had James here till late last night. So this morning's job, sold some starter motors thanks to my advert of the week. That was great for the people that have messaged me for one. Now, I thought about explaining this. What do you mean you have to re-drill it? Now, the Talbot Sunbeam starter fits straight in this index. So that diameter in there is that big circle, fits that circle perfectly. So the index is the same, it's just the bolt holes that are different. So this is an imp block, not a Talbot Sunbeam block. So what we have to do is we have to set the starter motor up on a jig, and you can just see where the original hole was and where the new hole is. Original, new. I'm just making sure that my 3/8 bolt drops through. So I know that it'll all fit when I post it out. So that's great. And one other thing I was going to say, chaps, was there's 2 spade connectors on here. Just zoom in. That one is to do with the cranking circuit when you're using a 9-volt ballast resistor. So don't use that one. This one is your exciter that throws the solenoid in. So you put 12-volt permanent feeder there, and your red and white wire that went to your starter motor on your imp originally now goes to there. And the way it works, just don't want to teach anyone to suck eggs here, but it is so simple it's untrue. You've got a solenoid on a fork, that's why it's called a pre-engaged starter. So what happens is when you go to start your engine, the solenoid throws the fork out, which throws this gear into mesh with the ring gear. The ring gear sits here, so it's not in permanent drive. The ring gear is here on the flywheel. So it engages first, and only when it gets, that gear gets to the end of here, I can't actually grab it, it's a bit too strong, the spring, but when that gets to the end of there, in here there's 2 brass contacts, and that connects the 12-volt positive feed to the 12-volt feed to the starter. That's why it's called pre-engage. So it engages and then it energizes the motor to crank it. That's why it always starts first time. And the best thing about these starters is, especially if you've got an imp that's a bit catchy, you know, when you try and catch them with an inertia type starter, sometimes the engine fires, and because it flicks out on inertia, what happens is it flicks back in again when the engine fires, and then you get that funny noise. These will stay engaged until you take your finger off the ignition key. Anyway, sorry for all the people that already knew that, but there you go, that's how it works. Good morning, YouTubers. It's Friday morning. I've treated myself to a new ride. Now this might look like a end-of-life Audi to anybody else on this channel, but this is actually quite a rare car. It's I've been looking for one of these for a while to replace my Passat. It's an A6 an old one. 2.5, it's a V6 diesel, but it's a quattro. But the reason why I wanted it, these are normally an all-road with plastic arches on them, and they're normally automatic, but this one, it's a 6-speed manual. Oh, she goes like a train. Done a few miles, wants the service, a couple of front wings, bit of bodywork, some drop links. Listen to that, beautiful. Trim's not bad in it, wants a bit of tidying, wants a bit of love. But you know what? You won't find many of these. Proper rare car, most of them been scrapped. No, it was just rare to start with. It's called an Audi A6 2.5 Quattro turbo diesel Quattro Sport or something. We'll get front wings on it, get a belt kit on it, get an air comrade in it. Lift pump doesn't start very well. I think lift pump's gone down on it. And yeah, be a mint to that. Get some tyres on it. New car to replace Percy. Poor Percy. Okay, YouTubers, I've got over myself and my end-of-life Audi that I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with. I can't wait to get stuck into servicing it and getting the bits done on it. Just don't know when I'm going to find the time to do that. But we have got another car to use. Percy Passat will have to continue being used until we're in the new unit, I think. I can't see where we're going to find the time to sort the new Audi out. Anyway, this is Eric's 930. Eric, local man, turned up with a bit of a poorly 875, just end of life, smoking, blah de blah. I said, look, to sort this out, it's going to be quite expensive. By the time it's had a crank grind and a bore and, you know, all the head and the guides and the valves. And so I said, look, I'll do you a 930. So I've done him a brand new 930. This is it. And we took a few parts off his old engine. Obviously, I've been offering these with this is a Talbot Sunbeam cover with like an aluminium triangle that mounts the engine. But as we had one on his old engine, got that there. Just noticed this is the damper where the chain runs past. You might be able to see some track marks in it where the chain runs down here. They're just old, loads of heat cycles, just gone brittle and horrible. So luckily, because he had a complete new engine, we'll take this off. This is a brand new one, never seen any heat cycles. That'll be good as gold, that. So we'll get that onto this timing cover. Got the pistons here ready to go. They're all stamped and numbered, so we just check everything corresponds. That's cylinder number 4, and it's got, can you see it's got a B on it? These pistons are all graded. Only a couple of tenths difference in size, but they're A, B, C and D. So if we look at the block, this B is number 1, C, is that a B again? B is number 2, an A for number 3, and a B for number 4. So number 4 was a B. What's this one? Number 3, and that one is an A. Let's just double check that. Yep, nothing's mixed up. So that number 3 cylinder is an A. Very important that you keep the relevant piston to the bore, because they're quite nicely made, these engines. They obviously, doing them mass production, they're able to get the tolerances quite close, and it just makes them a nice, quiet, lovely little engine when all the tolerances are matched from the factory. So I've only really took this apart just to degrease it, and obviously to put in one of the new crankshafts in. I've modified the crank, so it's let's see if we can get a visual on it without knocking the engine over. It's now on an Imp crank, Imp 4-stud crank, but that is actually a brand new 5-stud crank, but I've just machined the end of it like you saw earlier in the video. So I'm going to get his pistons in. In fact, I'd like to try and get it a bit further along today. I'm going to bury my head in here, not answer the door to anybody. Ideally, I'd like to get the head on this by the end of the day. Okay, YouTubers, I'm going to struggle to speak here because this has just rocked up outside the workshop. What colour is it, Craig?
Radiant red.
You might remember, Craig, he brought a few parts for aqua blasting, and he's just turned up in his little own creation. Is it an RS Turbo?
It's XR3 on the logbook.
XR3, yeah, it's Y-Reg, isn't it? It's early. He's been doing this for how many years? 4 years. Mate, it is absolutely stunning. I'm not often I'm blown away. I mean, I was blown away this morning by my new Audi that just arrived in the night. But this is something special, mate. You've done a cracking job of this. Absolutely. Look at the inner wings. You've done the brush with the thinners in the seam sealer. You taught me that about 20 years ago. Remember, when I was getting it everywhere, you said put some thinners on the brush, it makes it move dead nice. Right, Craig, this is awesome, mate. Oh, look, it's a 16i trim. It's like brand new. Oh, it even smells like a Mark III Escort. XR7191. Is that a pull out?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, look at the headline. Oh no, I'm getting overexcited, mate, but this is absolutely stunning. Don't tell me you've got the rear speaker shelf with the plug at the side. No way, show me. Where have you found one of them?
Oh, mate, I've been lucky to get one on it.
They used to have a removable parcel shelf. Little twist plug there, undo that, and the parcel shelf came out. Years ago when I was absolutely broke, we used to go to Pimol, you know, to the scrapyard. Oh, she's mint. And I was in the scrapyard and a gold 1.6 gear came in. It was when eBay first started. And it had the parcel shelf with the screw out bit. And I took it out and I put it on eBay on bids. This is like before these got really popular. And it still did like 300 quid or something. Oh, mate, can we hear it? Oh, look at that. You know what the best thing about these cars was back in the day? That rev counter that started down here, you know, rather than just being like that. It started back there. Go on, fire up for us then, pal. Oh, she's a lovely engine, isn't she? Quiet as a mouse. And the best bit, Craig, that I was so pleased to see is you haven't put a Turbo 4 exhaust on it. You've put an original. There's a single box system on it. Just one big box at the back. Oh, look underneath it. Oh my God. What have you got it valued at, like 60, 70k or something?
We've got the value, yeah.
Mate, do you know, I was going to just mention this on the YouTubers, right? See over this bridge here, there used to be a college there called, I'll just knock it off because it'll interfere with the noise. Used to be a college there called North Trafford College, didn't there? And how I met Craig was back in about 1999, 98. Craig had a unit down there called G&L Performance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Used to break RS turbos. Obviously, I was absolutely crackers about them as like an 18-year-old lad. And I built my first RS turbo engine off, didn't I? For as a Fiesta. Oh no, it was off Alistair and John, wasn't it? Sorry. But I was in that college there in the top window one like Tuesday afternoon, and Craig had built an RS turbo. Was it grey? I can't remember which one it was now, but a Moonstone blue one, and you test drove it past the college, and it had the turbo chirp and all that. I think it had all sorts of tweaks onto it. It absolutely flew, and it was that sound that, you know, I had a Nova at the time, and I think the Nova soon went, and I did everything I could to buy an RS turbo because, I mean, just of that era, aren't I? But mate, that is stunning. I'm going to do lottery tonight. Look at it. Absolutely perfect job. You should go into car restoration, mate. Forget fixing these BMW engines. You're wasted skill, mate, honestly. That is an absolute credit to you. Well done. Okay, YouTubers, it's end of play on Friday. This is Eric's engine. I got it together. The lovely little standard exhaust on it. He supplied all this. It's out of a Husky. That's why you might notice it's got a different end on the oil breather fill up there. And also, it has a longer dipstick tube because the Husky has a back panel with little access, so you can check the oil and whatnot without having to take the back panel up. So yeah, it's gone together quite well, quite pleased with it. Just, you might notice the ectoplasma there coming out between the head and the block. I use that now because I've had a few instances where the modern coolant seems to find its way through the gasket, and it just leaves tiny little puddles on top of here. Not massive, not enough to recognise coolant loss or anything, but it just looks unsightly. So I put the glue on now. It's a special Loctite that was recommended to me. It's 573 flange sealant, so it just takes up the little gaps. It's very watery, but it works a treat. I've not had a problem with them since I've been using that. So there's nothing much to report about this really. It's a 930, it was skim dead. We've kept it on the standard cam, and I said to Eric, you know, it'll be fine with all your running gear, absolutely fine. You might notice I've left the original 930 oil filter on. It is new, it's just shop soiled, but we'll run it on the dyno with dyno oil, and then when we finish running it, we'll spin that off in the bin and put a fresh filter on it, and he can put his fresh 2050 oil in it, and it'll be away then. So I quite like these standard exhaust systems. The manifold's a bit restrictive, but they make a good noise, I think. They're like, they make a little bit quirky. I don't know. You can always hear an imp with one of those on. You know, they sound much better than the equivalent Moggy 1000 that sounds like it's been strangled or something, you know. From back in the day, that sort of era of cars, it didn't all sound particularly fantastic, but they sound okay. So this is the dipstick that's a bit different. I got myself in a bit of a tiz because I was excited. It had the original bracket there that holds the dipstick mounts there, but it wouldn't line up, and I'm thinking, what's changed, what's different? And then I remembered the dipstick is a different position on the imp block, so because it's moved forward, I've had to make a little extension piece to mount it. It just keeps it sturdy so that when you're pulling on dipstick, it doesn't pull it out of the rubber tube down there. So done all that. So that's one more 930 in the out tray, and then next week we've got another one, Julian's, so we'll get that on within the early part of the week. Hopefully get a tune out of that one as well. I may come in tomorrow morning at silly o'clock because it's so hot I can't sleep anyway. So I might come in early because I'm off tomorrow, which is Saturday, and I might just come in and put it on the dyno and get a little tune out of it, which will be on obviously Sunday night's video, but we'll see how we get on tonight. Morning YouTubers, it's Saturday morning now. I'm off today because we're going to go and see Russell's new school, but it was really hot at home and I woke up dead early, and I thought, if I go into work for a cheeky couple of hours, I'll be able to get home before they all get up and get that engine on the dyno. So I've come in and as you just heard, bolted him on, runs sweet as a nut, lovely little thing, standard cam. Little pea shooter exhaust, which you just got the experience of hearing. You've probably heard one before. Not really anything to get excited about, but yeah, very sweet. So I put it on the dyno, it runs sweet. The only major mistake I made was not thinking about what I was doing yesterday. I made an extension piece. This should be mounted here. So I thought, because the block, the dipstick comes out slightly further forward, I thought, oh, I know, I'll make an extension piece, but then I put 4 litres of oil in it, and of course the dipstick mount was all wrong because this is further this way. Then I thought to myself, oh no, this goes in a little hole in the back panel. It'll probably be further out now because I've extended it. So what I've got to do is I've got to warm it up. I'm going to rebend it, chop off a little bit off the end so that this mounts on here, and it'll all be back to where it was then. And then the dipstick length will be correct again then. So I've got that to do on Monday. And we're going to do some wide open throttle under load and just probably have to drill a main jet out on it just to give it a bit more fuel, because obviously being a bit bigger capacity and sport valves and stuff, it'll want to burn a bit more. So we'll do all that on Monday. And I was actually thinking about, it's only 20 past 6. I reckon I might be able to do a little bit on the V8 Imp, because I'm hoping to take it to National Weekend with me in the Husky. Anyway, I'll have a look at that next. YouTubers, last little Saturday morning treat for Andy, although we've got about another hour, I reckon, yet. This is the V8 Rover engine that I stupidly said I was going to attach to the gearbox of a Hillman Imp and put in the back of the Husky. And the attraction for the whole job was that in the Husky, because it's got a big void at the back where the back panel goes, it all fits without modifications to the car. Only just, but it does actually fit. So I've done this conversion. I've been waiting for the exhaust. My mate Will's done an exhaust, which I'll insert a photo of now. So that's the exhaust system that Will's made to make this all work. And we've got about 6 weeks or something. How long is it? Where are we now? Middle of June, July. Oh, we've got about 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks to potentially get this engine in the back of the Husky. Now, it may look a mile off, but all the hard work is done. I've just got to choose a carburation and put a cam in it, and these bolt together real quick. These are quite simple. I've just got to choose what carb to use. So I did buy this for it, but in hindsight, it's probably a little bit overkill. My mate Nick from the Hot Stocks gang, after I helped him out a bit with his setup, he's given me this converted manifold. This was an SU manifold, so it had mount for 2 SUs. But chopped it off and blocked the waterway and made this elbow to run a 45mm carb. Now this is actually quite attractive to me because I'll be able to fuel it quite easily, control the fueling. So I'm pretty keen, I think, to go with the single 45 setup, or maybe we'll put a 40 on it just to get a tune out of it. Anyway, that's the grand plan. So we'll have a look at the engine and refresh ourselves on where we're up to with it all. So I think this can go on the NEC stand in November, because I don't see that I'm going to be able to make use of it. It looks all a bit big and powerful for my little 30 horsepower transaxle. Right, okay, unfortunately, we've had a bit of swarf ingress. So I did put a cover over the engine, but it looks like the muck's got in there. So we're going to have to take it mainly apart again, or mostly apart again, should I say, so we can clean it all. Just refresh your memories, because it was about 2 years ago when I started this project. Obviously, I can't remember exactly where I was up to, but looks like I've organised a clutch fork and release bearing. And this was the flywheel that I'd made, especially, if you remember, I'd made it all reversed, so we're going to have to space the starter this way. And the idea of keeping it so close to the block was, I was trying to keep the overall length down so that we could fit the engine in before the end of the back panel, which it does all, it measures up perfect. It'll just about squeeze in. So I've done all that. That's the crazy thing about this job. That's just a standard gearbox. I've done all the hard work. That bit's done. It's just the fun bit that needs to be finished, which is typical of me, to start a project and then do the hard bit, and then the easy bit just gets forgotten about. Well, not forgotten about, but William's been busy, and the exhaust manifold obviously is something that I can't control. So now that's done, hopefully he's going to drop it off next week. I think what we'll do is offer the box up again, do some measurements, make sure I am definitely on the right tracks, get these heads off, because we're going to need to skim these heads, and build them up with some valves, etc. I've already bored it, if you remember, and put the Omega pistons in it. So we've got a selector camshaft, and yeah, I've got some crazy plans, because I've got some Volvo rocker gear which is adjustable. It's got a better ratio, so we get a bit more lift. But whether it's actually necessary at this stage, with the state of tune that the gearbox is in, it might be worth just putting it together with a standard cam just to run it, and then we can develop it in the future. Because if it's going to happen between now and National Weekend, I need to start thinking about it like next week. We get a few more jobs out, and keep ahead of the job first. This is quite pleasing, YouTubers. I've not realised how far along this job is. I'd actually skimmed the heads, so that's good. So we just need to clean the heads now. It's bored, it's had a set of pistons, it's had a set of rings, I remember that. And yeah, I was just looking at the clutch setup. If you look inside here, you can see the release bearing offers up to the back of the clutch. The arm is straight, which isn't perfectly ideal, but it will work. So we've got to make a bracket now for the for the slave cylinder to sit on there to push the rod as an actuator. We can just bolt the Husky slave cylinder straight on, and no messing, it just all works straight away. So yeah, I'm quite excited. I didn't realise how close this was. I reckon one good day on this. We've got a bit more work to get out in the out tray, so we don't upset any customers, and then we'll have a day on this, and hopefully that'll coincide with the exhaust manifold arriving, and we can have some fun. Measure up to make sure I'm not going crazy. And to this length here, from the centre of there, is the same as a standard imp. So basically the imp engine to the end of the front pulley from here is 20 inches. And we're at 20 inches at about this point. So I reckon we've got another 3 inches with the nose of the crank, which will just be a pulley. It's not the actual engine. So we may have to modify, well, we will have to modify the back panel for the pulley to go in. Not massively, hopefully. And we'll have to make a cradle to go underneath the sump to hold the engine in off the chassis legs, because we won't be using the original back panel. That'll just be, I've got a fiberglass one at home which maybe we could use as just like a skin panel to put over the back. Now there is potentially about ½ an inch I can gain by moving this part of the gearbox closer into the shell. So I've done that before. It just requires a little bit of dolly in there where the radius of the bulkhead catches it. So we're probably going to be about, I'd say, between 2.5 and 3 inches longer. It's 75mm. It's not massive, is it? We're going to be able to find that, aren't we? We've got to be able to find that somehow. I'm sure we can do this. Anyway, we'll have to get a build on next week and see if we can make it look correct. It's looking like it's going to be another cracking day in Stretford here today. But Saturday morning still, and I thought, you know what? Rather than being stuck in the workshop for the last hour before we go in for breakfast, I'll pull the front end off the new Audi Cruiser because I'm desperate to service it before I put it into service. I've just changed the belts. This is the 2.5, quite a rare engine in this car. Normally it's in the bigger Q7s and stuff, but this is the 2.5 V6 engine. So I'm going to change the belts on it and put an air conditioning rad on it as well, because I need that to be fixed, and polish the headlights, straighten the front bumper and the bumper iron, and hopefully we can find some front wings in the same colour on eBay. That'd be good. But I'm going to start pulling the front end of this apart now, and if I see anything exciting I'll report to you. Hey YouTubers, just under an hour into the job and a train goes past as I start speaking. Wow, what can I say? What an absolute joy to take apart. The only disappointing part so far is it had no antifreeze in it. But apart from that, yeah, just these cars were made in a time, it's, what is it, 2002, 23 years old. They just made them properly. This is when Audi made things to last. This will outlast all that modern stuff. Just little things you can notice as you take things apart, and that's the original radiator. Whoever's serviced it in the past has looked after it. Every screw was correct, every clip was in position. What I was quite fascinated by was I thought, oh, it's got an engine oil cooler. So the water goes in that one there and comes out that one there. But see these little pipes here, these are exchange units. So the oil goes in and then it lives in, it exchanges its heat in the body there. But it's ATF, it's not engine oil. It's like, wow, it's got a transmission cooler, and it's actually, you know, it's a manual. And look at this. This will be the original radiator. Look at that, stainless steel. You know, it's proper, and it's got a full size across the front intercooler. It's to cool the air for the turbo. The air conditioning rad, unfortunately, it'd been bashed at the front. Can you see the damage? And it just punctured it. We're probably on its last legs anyway, so that doesn't matter. Had a bit of fun getting the threads off these. Well, I don't want to teach anyone to suck eggs, but when it comes to undoing anything that's got an aluminium thread like that, lubrication, a bit of heat, you know, just with a little gun like that. And the key to not knackering the job up is when you get movement, go dead slow, because the friction is so much with the threads being bound with the oxidization. If you put any movement fast into it, the heat creates a pickup and then the threads pick up. That one came out perfect. That one rolled a bit, but I'm pretty convinced with my needle file I'll be able to chase the end of that one there and clean up the threads so that when we get the new intercooler, it all goes together perfect. I see it all day because I get asked to drill out bolts and stuff, you know, where lads been doing a clutch on something that's a bit newer than this, and they'll have a subframe bolt and they'll get the rattle gun on it, and it's the speed and a tight thread that's even steel on steel. It's the speed that puts the heat into it when it's bound, it's binded up, and then the threads pick up, and then you end up with no thread left, and it's like, oh, what will I do with that? Well, use a spanner next time. Anyway, yeah, so just go slow with your spanners or your buzz guns, or use a spanner, and it'll all be nice and slow, no heat into it, and it'll undo. So we're getting to the business end of the job now. Nice to see it's got a belt-driven mechanical fan viscous coupling. So this viscous coupling, when it sees heat, it'll go stiffer and it'll drive the fan. So quite efficient way of doing it. And it's got a little one there for the aircon. That's just electrically operated by the stat in the end of the rad. So we can see the job next. We take this front panel off and I'm going to have absolutely brilliant access then to the front of the engine. I've already clocked that we've got oil leaking from the cam covers, so we'll get the cam covers off and replace the gaskets. And there's quite a bit of oil in the intercooler, so we'll check the turbo out, make sure it's not cream crackered. If there's any question over it, you know, we'll just replace it. I didn't buy this, I know it's an end-of-life Audi. I didn't buy it because I had no money. I bought it because I wanted it, and if it costs £1,000 or something to sort it out with the parts, then so be it. You know, it's gonna be put into service. I'm sure it's got lots of good service life left in it, so I'll try and find some front wings for it as well, because they're awful, and a bumper. Anyway, we'll cross that bridge later. Let's just get it apart for today, hopefully, before it's time to go home for breakfast. It's now end of play. It's time to go home for breakfast. So I've had about an hour and a half on it. It's flown apart. What a machine. Yeah, just definitely due a service. The bloke did say, to be fair, it done 75,000 miles on the belts. I just took the belt covers off. I thought, they're quite heavy, them belt covers. They've got like a sound absorber in them. Absolute quality of this engine is unbelievable. So I've got it all off. You can see this is the auxiliary belt. If you zoom in, you see all the fine cracks in it. That's up on its end of life, and then obviously you can't really guesstimate the timing belt condition, but it looks all right, to be fair. It's not got any oil contamination, which is a good thing. So it looks like quite a sophisticated drive. Anyway, we've got lots to replace, lots to do. So we'll get ordering some parts and revisit this next week, but we've definitely broke its back. It's a shame we can't get the steam cleaner out, so it's a bit grubby. We could do giving it all a good clean, but maybe we'll make an extension pipe for it and bring it around here, because I wouldn't mind steaming the matrix out, to be honest. If you're looking at the state of the water side, when we've got the water pump out, we'll be able to steam the block out a bit, just try and get as much of that sediment out of the block and the heater matrix, because it'll stop it from working efficiently in winter time. So yeah, real pleased with that. We'll get all this on a bit of cardboard in the boot and look forward to next week. Congratulations, YouTubers, you've made it to the end of episode 102. I forgot to say earlier in the introduction, I do apologise for my constant snivelling. I suffer really badly with hay fever, so I've had all my tablets, which means I've not been suffering too bad at all, to be fair, but I do still get bunged up, so I end up snivelling, and I listen to the playback and I think, oh my word, he's just snivelling all the way through. If my dad watches this, he'll go mad because he hates people that snivel. Anyway, it'll be gone soon. By August, I'll be fixed, I promise. Right, thanks again for joining me tonight, and hope you have a great week. I look forward to seeing you all next Sunday at 7, or potentially I'll see you on Tuesday at 7 with a touring car video, because we're going, hopefully tomorrow, we're going to be able to go to Alton Park to watch the British touring cars. So if I do go, I'll make a video all about them and put it on for Tuesday at 7. Okay, have a great week. Bye for now.